Full body versus split. Full body versus a split routine, or bro splits, however you want to call it. Which is superior for muscle building? First, short disclaimer, promise. Um, my number one area of experience and expertise is in hypertrophy, whatever you want to call it, building muscle. So that's where I'm an authority. Now, I know a lot about a lot of other things. I've gotten shredded. I can talk about that, pictures to prove it. But the thing that I really know a shit ton about, above and beyond everything else, is hypertrophy. Unlike a lot of these guys that want to try and cover all the bases because they're trying to make a buck off of you. They want you to watch their videos so you can. They're trying to make a living off of it rather than get a fucking job. Which I don't know if that's a good business plan. What's the long-term outcome with that? Not exactly sure. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's not my gig, as you can tell by the great frequency with which I do not upload videos. So, with that in mind, let me talk about what I know about, and that's hypertrophy. So, which way is superior? Which approach is superior? So many different ways you could work out. You can schedule and arrange your workouts throughout the week or a week period or however you do it. 4-day, 5-day, 7-day, 8-day. However the hell you do it. Once a week, twice a week. Bro splits or full body. Well, when I first thought about this, it first crossed my mind, I just briefly, right off the top of my head said, well, I guess I do what they call bro splits. I guess I've always done that. That's pretty much my thing. That's what I do. But then when I really thought about it, and I actually looked at what I do, in all honesty, that's not what I do at all. I absolutely do not do splits. I don't do the bro split thing. What I actually do is it borrows elements of many different approaches, and it's not singularly any one of them in itself. You couldn't call it. It doesn't demonstrate any one of them singularly and unto itself. It's a hybridized thing, and it works extremely well for me. And I do believe it's the best approach for building muscle. And the proof is in the pudding. I can get literally as big as I want to get if I want to get that big. Today I look like this. And I'm not on a whole bunch of gear. I've been off for 9 months, and I just recently went back on maybe 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago maybe. And if I told you what I was on, and I don't have any problem telling you that, it's just that people don't believe it. So what's the point in telling you? Just let you think what you want to think, because if I tell you, the majority of people out there, they won't believe it. Wouldn't believe it. Would scoff at it. It wouldn't make sense to them at all. Nonetheless, if you go back and look at previous pictures of me or videos, when I've really been really big, you can certainly see the difference. Anywho, I think that the way my approach, what I do, after 3 decades plus, is, I've arrived at what is the ultimate and absolute most efficient and effective way for me to maintain and build, if I so desire, muscle. Now, having said that, most of the average gym goers, most of the average people in the gym, I think, and it's a close run for the money, but I think they would be better off doing full body workouts. I think that they would make more progress full body workouts initially. When you first start out, I think that's the way you should go. And you know what? Here's the other thing too. The difference, what separates a beginner from intermediate, as far as I'm concerned, is not time. Like I've said before, you can do something ineffectively all of your life, and it's never going to make you an expert at it. It's only going to make you an expert at how not to do it, or how to continue to stubbornly do the same thing that's not delivering the goods. And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be working out. That can apply to anything. I see it all the time in my trade. So I think that when you cross the line and you become what I would consider intermediate, muscle builder or trainer that's primarily interested in achieving in an exaggerated amount of hypertrophy over what a regular male physique would typically look like, a healthy male. The distinction between beginner and intermediate is going to be that you have secured, that you have successfully attained a certain amount of hypertrophy, that it's clearly obvious to an observer, outward observer, that that's what you're doing. They don't have to guess. You don't have to tell them. They could look at your physique and say, well, clearly this person works out and has built some muscle. Not just as in shape or whatever, they've built some muscle. So prior to that, I think beginners and people who aren't quite there yet as a secure, steadfast intermediary trainer, I think that they would be better off doing full body workouts. Now, having said that, the compromise comes in that you have to do what you have a passion for. If you were to approach full body workouts and you couldn't generate the intensity because you didn't possess the passion or desire, you just weren't into that. You couldn't get your thing off in the gym doing that. Then by all means, you should be doing something other. You should go into the gym. You have to get to where you need to get to. And it's more of a feeling than anything else. It's absolutely more of a feeling. And the only reason that I suggest full body workouts for beginners or people who haven't actually securely achieved an intermediate amount of development yet is that you cannot contract muscle which you have not yet developed. You don't have that, and again, it comes down to the mind-muscle connection thing, which people have gone like way over the top with trying to make that into something that it's not, to try and define that, to rewrite it and give it a whole new definition. People who possess that and have developed a mind-muscle connection, we know what it is. Universally, you won't, to the letter, you won't find an individual that's been doing this for any length of time and has a sincere amount of development that's going to tell you mind-muscle connection is bullshit. Now, shouldn't that in itself should tell you something? That every single person that's achieved anything near what you want to achieve physically, if that's your goal, that there are certain truths that we all share, that we all universally believe in and have proven themselves out to ourselves. So that should tell you right there. There are a few steadfast gold rules, and one of them is the mind-muscle connection is very important. It's critical later on. But again, what it's about is having access to the muscle you've developed, being able to contract the muscle you've developed. Now, can you contract? Can you focus enough to contract your rear delt, a posterior delt, that head on your shoulder? You can if it's not, in attendance and there. If you don't see that, if it's not developed to the degree, okay, that you can actually get there, and you can get into it and actually concentrate on making it do a larger majority of the work. You can actually kind of more specify. You can contract that. Okay, and it's not like a mystery. You can look in the mirror and you see the head pop up as you're contracting it. You see that. Well, until you have that kind of development, and it's throughout the whole body, in these smaller muscles, it's the same thing. You're not going to be able to do a lot of these specified exercises or these isolated exercises and really benefit from them. You're wasting your fucking time. Stick to the more compound movements, be they dumbbell, barbell. You can do some machine stuff. Again, the overriding caveat is that you must do something that you enjoy doing. You've got to get in there and get into the workout because it really is more about a feel. And for me today, it's completely instinctive. I don't go into the gym with any planned number of sets, any planned number of reps. I don't even go into the gym knowing exactly that I'm going to do this exercise, that exercise, that exercise, or that exercise by the end of it. That's what I will have done. I can't predict that ahead of time. I can guess, and I can come out fairly close, but there are so many exercises that I can pull out and plug in and substitute for other things. And when people tell you your workouts get stale, you've got to keep mixing them up. I really don't mix them up like that. My workout is always mixed up. So I really, to the outward observer, it might look like I do the same shit for a lifetime and continue to benefit. And the reason is because it's not the same. There's always minute differences, and those minute differences are everything. Different is different. New is new. So it's really, for me, I need to get to a certain place. I'm after a certain feel in the muscle, a certain level of exhaustion, a certain level of stimulation or fatigue. and a type of stimulation and fatigue, not only a degree of stimulation and fatigue, a level of it, but a certain type, a certain feel that I have developed and recognized after all these years. And whatever it takes for me to get to that is what's going to make me grow, or what's going to make me benefit from it. If I don't get to that point in the muscle, then that workout is not going to prove itself out as beneficial, really. It's not going to be ideally beneficial. I may get something out of it. At least I showed up. That's half of the battle. But my workout's going to be far, far less than, optimally productive, or, potentially as productive as it could have otherwise been, if I don't get to where I need to get to. So I'm looking for a particular feel in the muscle, a particular level of exhaustion and fatigue, and it's whatever it takes to get to there. It doesn't matter if it's how many reps or how many sets or how few, or none of it matters. It's as long as you get to that place. It's whatever it takes to get you to that place. So it's not something you can hammer down and put in a little box that you can carry and take out of a box and examine and understand for yourself. You have to learn it. It's something you must actually learn. Yeah, you really have to actually learn it. You can't just live vicariously through others and you're going to be a droid, or you're going to be able to wield this type of expertise or mastery over what's going to be the most productive for you in the gym and you're going to benefit the most from, unless you learn it for yourself. So for all the talk and all the debate and all the horse shit, anybody that's really knows what they're talking about is ultimately going to tell you that you're going to have to get to the place where you know what works for your body and it's a particular feel. And there's any number of ways to get there. So I think variety, don't leave anything out. Try a lot of things and literally see what works for you. And no, the same thing isn't going to necessarily work for everybody. It just is not. It's not. Anybody tells you that, they don't know. That's a big red flag. Biggest red flag is, what the hell do they look like? The person's trying to instruct you on hypertrophy. They're some kind of expert on how to build muscle, and they still don't display that on their, physically on themselves. Or they don't have maybe they're not, you have some of these professional guys that train, these huge bodybuilders, and they have a lot of expertise in what they do, and they may not look like it outwardly themselves, but they have all these things to point to and show. Look at the improvements this guy's just made training with me this year. Look at the improvements that person's made with me. They have this. You understand? So if you don't physically see it, the fruits of it, then don't believe. Don't buy that bullshit. Don't buy something you haven't even seen, can't look at, can't touch, and examine that it's not real and it's solid. If it's not there, don't believe the hype. So yeah, my workout is a huge combination of all of that shit, and I'll get into that more specifically in another video, exactly how my workouts are similar to full body and what elements of the typical bro split they employ. And I'll leave it for you to decide what you think.